Okay, so I'm going to be making myself some hand-milled soap today, and I'm going to start by just basically kind of going over hand-milled soap and the fact that soap is in itself one more layer of healing. A lot of people will put a lot of effort into making a tincture or an oil or a salve, and these are all great healing tools. But you certainly, if you have a cut or an abrasion or something where the skin is broken, you don't start by slathering salve onto it or drinking a tincture to boost your immune system. The first thing you have to do is clean that cut out. To use it along the healing process, such as this is our pot marigold flowers, and this is some what are you? Yarrow. This is my Yarrow, a little bundle of Yarrow that I've got here. I'm going to grind that and put that in. So I've got the cleaning agent here, and then I've got these two antibacterial agents right here, two antibacterial herbs. So it's just one more layer. Like you can make a salve out of these two and a soap out of these two, and the first thing you do is you wash yourself with the soap and then you put the salve on yourself. Or if you want, you can make the soap out of these two and then maybe make the salve out of sage and pine bark, and then you get 4 different antimicrobials working at the same time, as long as you don't have an allergic reaction to them. You can also use, like this is tea tree oil, you can use an essential oil in this, and I'm just pointing out like getting a cut wound, but you can use soap for anything. You can use it for rituals. So if you want to, if you're preparing yourself for some kind of ritual, you can start with the bathing, and you can have an herbal soap for that, that you have handmade. Or you can use it for, say that your body, you've not slept well for the last few days and your body kind of hurts. Maybe you've overworked yourself and your body is kind of aching. You can make a soap out of like lavender oil and hops, and then you crawl into a bath where you put a little bit of hops in a muslin bag and run the water over it and put some Epsom salts into the bath, and you take your bath with this soap that has these relaxing scents, and it's just one more layer of healing. And I'm going to do mine with my homemade soap, but there's going to be people who are watching this that are like, well, I don't like working with lye, so I'm just going to ignore this and not even watch this video. You don't need to have homemade soap to do this. You can go out and buy plain unscented white soap, and make sure that you get soap, not detergent or a beauty bar or anything like that. You want to have something that says S-O-A-P, soap. And you can do this exact same thing, and then you can add whatever you want yourself. So you can make your own healing agent that way. A lot of people, well, that's cheating. Well, I don't make my own olive oil. Olives don't grow here in Wisconsin. So when I make a salve, I'm buying the olive oil, or actually I'm trading. I trade maple syrup or maple sap, one or the other, whichever I get the best of. I trade it for olive oil, and so then it's not like I've got an olive tree out in the back. They just don't do well here out in that white stuff. So it's the same thing. You're buying your soap. First, what I'm going to do, the things that I need is, again, about if you're buying your soap, about 3 maybe 4 bars of plain white soap. Of course, you can make much more of this, and I'll just kind of talk you through this so that you can double, triple, whatever the recipe, because this isn't really a recipe, it's just kind of, me doing things. You need a grater. I do it into a pan so that I don't have a huge mess, and then I can just dump the pan in. We're going to grate. I've already started grating some. And then whatever additives you want. Herbs are great, and most essential oils are great. If you want to add a scent to it, you need a good, for every 2 cups of soap flakes, you need about 20 or so drops of your essential oil. And again, whatever combination you want. If you're looking for, this is obviously for healing, because we've got Yarrow and pot marigold, both of which are antimicrobial, and then we've got tea tree, which again, antimicrobial. So, and antifungal and all that stuff too. If you want a bar that is more gentle, you can use like dry, and you're wanting to have your herbs dry. You can use dry chickweed, which you need a lot of chickweed to dry the chickweed, or oh, what am I looking for? Plantain, watercress. Once you start learning your herbs, you can start adding them to different things. A lot of the same herbs you want to use in your salve, you can use in this. A lot of the same herbs that you might want to use in your bath salts, you can use to this. So, whatever kind of soap you're looking to make, get those herbs and everything ready, and then we're just going to grate up the soap until we got, this is almost got 2 cups here, but I'm going to make just a little bit more. We need a little bit of water, and it's a very small amount of water. You kind of get shocked at how little water you need. And then I've got 2 pots going here. One of them has to be stainless steel, or you can do this, you're making kind of a fake double boiler again here, and so you can do this in, you know, if you've got a Pyrex cup, you can put that in there, or if you've got a unchipped enamel pot, you can use that as well. So I'm going to get started here. I'm going to start grating this up, and I just have this in a pan because it's cleaner. You don't have to have the pan. You can wipe off the counter right into your measuring cup if you want. That's fine. So I'm going to get started here, and I will be back in a minute. Another thing that you need is some kind of mold. Now this soap I'm actually keeping as the finished product, so I actually have a mold for this. You don't need to. I know if you watch me make soap before, anything that's plastic, you can use. Soap is pretty easy to grate, well cured. You want to make sure if you made your own soap that it's well cured. And soap is really easy to grate. It's not like grating beeswax. You just basically kind of grate it. Animal soap or animal fat soap does the best for remilling, but most soaps you can remill. So I'm going to dump my soap flakes in here, and I got one here. Actually, I'm going to kind of grate this one up. If you have lumps, for the most part, it's no big deal, like little lumps like that. But this one here is kind of a little bit bigger than what I want, so I'm just going to kind of just grate it up. If I can crumble it in my hands, I don't worry about it. And of course, be careful when you're working with a grater so you don't end up grating your fingernails, or else you'll be washing yourself with human fingernails. No big deal. And then I'm going to, well, I actually haven't turned this on. I'm going to turn this on, but here's what I want you to see. Now, I'm going to tell you, this is more than 2 cups, but I'm going to tell you to do your recipe with 2 cups. If you want to do it with more than 2 cups, just do as I do right now, not as I say. Let me move my herbs out of the way. All you need, this is about a ½ cup of water. I'm going to need a little bit more than this, but about ½ cup of water for every 2 cups. And we're going to slowly mix this water in, and we just want, this may not happen this way, we just want to moisten the soap. Just enough so that all of it's moistened. So you're not using a whole lot of water. If you use too much water, it's going to take a lot longer than 2 weeks to cure. All we're wanting is just enough. Oops, I'm going a little bit. I got my water up turned too high, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Just enough to moisten all the soap. So that you got kind of a paste down in there. And like I said, this is I measured this out a ½ cup because I wanted to show you how little you needed, but then I grated more soap than what I originally planned to, so I may. And normally when I do this, I do it in a lot bigger batches. I have a big old 2 to 4 quart stainless steel thing, and I do a great big huge batch of it. It takes a lot longer that way. It's much easier to do it in a smaller batch. So, and I'm going to mix this up a little bit as I go, and then I'll show it to you so that you don't have to, but you can kind of see how that's just kind of sticking together. That's what you're looking for. Again, if you need a little bit more as you're cooking it, because sometimes as you're heating it up, it dries out. Boy, I'm making a mess here. As you're heating it up, it dries out. Keep a little extra water so you can just kind of put a little bit more in. So, what I say for kind of a rule of thumb, it's kind of a estimation. For about every 2 cups of soap flakes that you have, put about half a cup of water into it. But again, if you think it feels a little dry, put a little bit more water in. If you think, if you put in, you know, a third of a cup and you think it feels moist, then stop at a third of a cup. And again, the more, if you really want to make sure you don't have to keep adding water and everything, make it nice and wet. It just means it's going to take longer to cure. That's all. It's not that big of a deal. Instead of 2 weeks, it might take 3 weeks. Instead of 3 weeks, it might take 4 weeks, you know. And you can wait that. It's not like you're going to ruin your soap if you get, you know, if you accidentally pour too much water in there. You're not going to ruin it. It's just going to take longer to set up and cure at the end. Okay, so I've got wet flakes. Like I said, when I mush them together, they kind of hold together, but yet I can break them apart into that. I've got them all nice and clean. And I'm going to wash my hand off here, and I'm going to move you over to my quote-unquote double boiler. Okay, before I take you over to my fake double boiler, we're just going to kind of do up these herbs here. This is pot marigold. Pot marigold does come from the garden. It's not a wild herb at all. And it's got another name, and I'll look it up and put it down below. Pot marigold was what we were raised with. It's an older name. It now goes by its scientific name, and so I'll write that down below in the comments, or wherever not comments, but in the description. It grows. It's really easy to grow. You can find it. I mean, you can find the seeds for this in hardware stores. I was at Walmart one time with a friend, and I saw they had it at Walmart. I mean, you can find the seeds for this everywhere. I saw it at Farm and Fleet, and it grows in pots. It grows in the garden. It grows really easy. Like, I have a pot of it that I keep in the greenhouse, and it grows well past the winter solstice. The only time that it stops growing is if you have a really bad cold spell, which we did, and it finally stopped the growing. And they kind of self-plant themselves too, so if you have some out in the garden, they'll keep planting themselves. While it's an annual, so it only lasts for a little while, the flowers become the seeds, and then it'll just replant itself. And you can collect, once you grow your first batch, you can collect seeds from your first batch forever. And it's an antimicrobial. It's one of the better ones. You can use it in teas to help, like if you got a sore throat or something, you can drink the tea, you can gargle with the tea, you can put it in salves. It's just an amazing healer, and it's something, I use it in lip balm because it helps heal cracked lips. It's an amazing herb that you should have, that if you can, try growing it, and it's really simple to grow. This is yarrow, and I already started the yarrow, and then I thought, well, maybe I should talk a little bit about yarrow. Yarrow is a wild herb. You can grow it. If you do, make sure you get the medicinal kind, which is the white head one. It has a very feathery leaf. I go get mine from the wild because it grows everywhere. Yarrow has been an amazing healing plant for a very long time. The stems of the yarrow plant were the original and still what is considered to be the most powerful of the I Ching sticks to be tossed. It is considered to be a sacred plant. Yarrow is what Achilles used to heal his men. It's often said that yarrow was part of the potion that Achilles was dipped into to make him invulnerable. And it has an amazing scent. Yarrow was, long before we used hops in beer, we used yarrow in beer for preservatives because it's antimicrobial, and it preserved beer. The only reason we stopped using yarrow is because kings found out that people who used hops who drank a lot of beer with hops in it became depressed and were easier to control, and so some kings made it a law you could only make beer with hops, and we still to this day carry that law, and it was one of the first mass druggings of people in the world was using hops, because hops are high in a plant-based estrogen, which makes people, too much estrogen can depress people, and so that's the reason today we use hops instead of things like yarrow in our beer. Yarrow is a great healer. Again, you can put these two back and forth for healing wounds. It's really great as an antimicrobial. Yarrow is also one of the top 3 for fever reducing. It's yarrow, peppermint, and elderberry flowers, elderblow. Those are the top 3 fever reducers. They break a fever without raising the body's temperature to do so.